Sports presentation. CFL 83 is brought to you by Carling O'Keefe, brewers of OB, the Carlsberg Beers, and Miller High Life. And now, for all the action, we take you to the stadium and our CBC Sports crew.
Today, the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers one final step toward the Grey Cup, the Western Final, live from the stadium at BC Place. Afternoon, what a great feeling it is here for the first time ever. Canadian Football League playoffs indoors. Conditions are perfect for a Bomber matchup with the Lions. The Eastern final score is in. The Argos are heading toward the Grey Cup. Now, we're ready for the final chapter in the CFL 83 playoff story. It's going to be a great one here this afternoon. Here's Don.
Thanks, John. Well, no teams in the Canadian Football League have experienced a longer Grey Cup drought than the Lions and the Bombers. It's been almost 2 decades since either team made a Grey Cup appearance. The Bombers in 1965, the Lions in '64. Of course, for one team, that drought will end this afternoon. However, with the competing coaches, it's a different story. Don Matthews of BC and Cal Murphy of Winnipeg are totally familiar with Grey Cup appearances. They were very key figures in the Edmonton Eskimo dynasty that came to an end last Sunday afternoon. We have 2 coaches to analyze this afternoon's ball game, and as we get set for this final, Leo Cahill, let's take a look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Well, Don, they're going to have to depend on their generator again, and I'm talking about number 2, Tom Clements. Last week he was 21 for 28 for 445 yards. He also got some help in his running game from James Sykes. Sykes had 22 carries for 124 yards. They've got a couple game busters on the outside, and Boyd and Murphy, they caught 12 passes, I should say, last week for close to 300 yards. Now, they're not going to make this kind of yardage against the BC Lions defense, but they've got to generate offense to win this game. What about BC, Ron?
Well, Leo, I really believe Roy DeWalt's the key to the BC offense. He's a young quarterback in his first final as a starter. He's looking forward to it here at home. He's going to get a lot of work from John Henry Wright and Ray Strong as pass receivers. They're not going to run the ball very much, I think, with those two, but those two are excellent coming out of the backfield. Defensively, the BC Lions are very strong, set a league record with 42 interceptions, and Larry Crawford and Kerry Parker are their gunners back there. I think we're in for a big day, Don.
It will be noisy under the dome here at the stadium at BC Place. We'll be back with the opening kickoff, but first, let's go to Brian Williams at CFL Control in Toronto.
Thank you, Don. Good afternoon, everyone. The Toronto Argonauts defeated the Hamilton Ticats 41-36 this afternoon in just a tremendous football game. Played before a record crowd of 55,000. There's the winning touchdown with 27 seconds to play, scored by Cedric Minter. Toronto, though, has to be concerned. Hamilton played them very tough. Johnny Shepard had 3 touchdowns. Coming up at halftime, we will talk live with head coach Bob Obilovich. He will join us here in the studio. He will have with him quarterback Condridge Holloway and a couple of players, including defensive end Rick Moore. We'll take a look at all the highlights from the game this afternoon and also look ahead to the Grey Cup next Sunday afternoon. This is CFL 83 coming to you from our control center in Toronto. The kickoff is next.
Carling O'Keefe Sports, your box seat to the CFL. We're bringing you more games than ever, a full interlocking schedule of exciting matchups. With new powerhouses and renewed rivalries, it's wide open football CFL style. Catch all the action from your home box seat. Carling O'Keefe Sports, bringing the sports world home to you.
A capacity crowd of almost 60,000 in the stadium at BC Place, waiting expectantly as Lou Pasaglia, the league scoring champion, prepares to kick off. James Sykes and Kirby Wilson are deep. Wilson takes it at the 10-yard line. Penalty flag goes down, and Kirby Wilson fumbles the ball at the 45. There was a penalty flag back at the 20-yard line. Referee Bud Ulrich
declined. First down.
explaining the penalty, but of course with the fumble recovery, it's declined.
Well, this is no way to start a football game when you're on the road in front of 60,000 people, Leo.
Well, it's just unfortunate. He's been doing a good job all year returning, but he got it kicked out of his hands there, and what a break for the BC Lions.
The opportunist pouncing on that ball was Kerry Parker. 1st and 10, the Lions at the Winnipeg 45. Roy DeWolf under pressure. He'll run with the ball, and he's downed at the 42 by John Sturdivant. He was being chased by Doug McIver. Roy DeWolf, the starting quarterback. He has John Henry White and Ray Strong as his running back. Ned Armour added to the lineup as a wide receiver for this ball game. The offensive line remains the same. It's 2nd and 6. Pancraft out of bounds with a first down at the Winnipeg 33-yard line.
Well, this is a guy we've been watching all year that's made big play after big play, and he goes down there right again, and it's just a simple breakout pattern, 7 yards out, and he just finds that flag that he has to make that first down, catches the ball for the first down. Sure hands and a great throw.
Excellent coverage by Rose. The ball was just on the money. If you can't throw those kind in the league, you can't play.
A 1980 territorial protection out of Simon Fraser University. John Pancraft figures to play a key role in the outcome of this afternoon game for the BC Lions. 1st and 10 from the Winnipeg 33. Roy DeWolf throwing deep, looking for Armour. It's incomplete. Roy DeWolf in the offseason returns to his home in Houston, where he's involved in the banking business. And he'd like to cash in early in this ball game against this Winnipeg defensive unit. Sturdivant, McIver, and Norman up front. The linebackers, as good a group as perhaps there is in the Canadian Football League. And in the secondary, same lineup that was successful, 49-22 over the Edmonton Eskimos in last Sunday's semifinal. 2nd and 10 from the 33. Roy DeWolf under pressure. He'll go down at the 36-yard line. Tyrone Jones was the man who came in on top of the BC quarterback, and they are not booing here at the stadium at BC Place. That's Lou, 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 a familiar chant for Lou Pasaglia, the place kicker deluxe, who this year accounted for 191 points. What an outstanding athlete he is. At Simon Fraser, he was a quarterback and a wide receiver. Many people overlook sometimes the athletic skills of the gentlemen who have the responsibility of handling the kicking chores. Lou Pasaglia with the field goal attempt. It's good. A 44-yard field goal by Lou Pasaglia. The Lions are the first on the board, and will return right after this. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will scrimmage 1st and 10 from the 35, and while we have a moment, let's extend our congratulations to Bob Obilovich and the Toronto Argonauts for their Eastern victory this afternoon, 41-36, in a thriller over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The Blue Bombers have not made any lineup changes offensively. The same unit that defeated the Edmonton Eskimos in the semifinal. Tom Clements, who held such a hot hand in that game, 21 of 28 passes. The Bombers, as they did against Edmonton, showing a lot of motion. Hand off to James Sykes. Sykes, about a 10-yard gain. The ball was fumbled, but the play had been whistled dead. Nelson Martin made the tackle. Sykes had a big game last week against Edmonton. He's off to a fine start against the Lions.
Well, Winnipeg went to a lot of motion, and then they just came back and opened the game with a running play by Sykes. He's a proven veteran in CFL play. He'll do the job for you.
That's that play that they like, too, Ron, where the quarterback starts to sprint action. They're told before the game, stop Clemens, and just give it to Sykes, and he gets the first down. Almost the first down, I should say.
Jackman and Kantner in on the short yardage situation, and Tom Clements keeps. He drives up over the 45-yard line. This is the defensive unit that Tom Clements will be working against this afternoon. And the Lions may be forced to make some changes because of the questionable status of linebacker Glenn Jackson. But up front, it's Clausen, Vaughn, Moore, sets. And quite often you'll see the team with 7 defensive backs in there. Again, all that motion by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. First and 10 from the 47. Clemens. And that's what he does so well. Scramble around, buying time for Rick House. First down out to the 48 of the BC Lions. Stopped there by Andre Jones.
You know, Doc, Winnipeg's offense has been given a lot of criticism because they call it garbage offense. But as far as Clemens is concerned, he makes something out of nothing time after time. He sprints to his left, doesn't see anything there. Then takes the advantage of coming back to the offside, picks up a couple blocks, and spots the receiver downfield. Now, he does this too often to have it be a coincidence. He's just great at doing this, and that's his style of play.
17-yard gain on the pass to Rick House. It's first and 10 Winnipeg at the 47 of the Lions. The Lions lead it by a score of 3-0. Clemens to the sideline. Hucklack out of bounds at the 41. That will be a pickup of 6. It will be second and 4 Winnipeg. Dan Hucklack played some junior football out here on the West Coast with the Renfrew Trojans. In 1980, he came to the Bombers from the Lions, primarily used as a blocking back, and on the season was also on the receiving end of 31 passes. Second and 4 Winnipeg at the 41 of the Lions. Movement at the line of scrimmage. Penalty flags go down as James Sykes tries to get outside. He's taken out of bounds by Melvin Bird, and there's also another penalty flag on the play.
Well, I really believe right here you're going to see a penalty called on an offensive ball player for face masking. I think that James Sykes actually grabbed hold of Melvin Bird, but we'll see what the referees call. Very unusual call if it is.
Yeah, you picked it up, Ron.
Actually, it was one of those situations where he was cornered, couldn't get away, and he tried to push the defender off by just grabbing him by the face mask, and that don't count either way.
All right, we're going to get a good look at it. You watch, he'll switch the ball, put it in his left hand, Leo, what you like. Now watch that right hand, right? Now watch him. Got a pretty good hold of it.
They give him a little twist while he's there.
Referee Bud Ulrich explaining the penalties to Tom Clements. And as you hear the response of the crowd, you can appreciate the fact that it is marched off against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Well, you know one thing, we could be on the lookout all afternoon for Cal Murphy to just pull the stops and do anything. He's the kind of a coach that you like to watch his team play because they're up for a lot of surprises throughout this afternoon.
number 4.
They won't play it according to...
Major foul, face mask, number 10, Winnipeg. Down repeated.
They won't play it according to Hoyle.
Back at the 51. It's now second and 14.
Don, you were talking about Glenn Jackson. He hasn't been in the ballgame yet. I've been watching him over on the sideline. He's a little antsy. You know he wants to play, but he just must not be healthy enough.
Bob Cameron, who on the season possessed almost a 47-yard punting average, ready to go in should he be called upon. Winnipeg needs 14 on the second down play. There's the pass. And the catch is made by Joe Poplawski. James Murphy and Joe Poplawski were in the same area.
James Murphy's going to clear that area. He's going to go deep and open it up for Poplawski to come into. But watch the catch Poplawski made. What happened is Murphy got bumped and didn't get deep fast enough, and Poplawski makes a great catch.
Well, that looks like a hidden ball trick.
A gain of 20 as Joe Poplawski keeps the Bomber drive alive. First and 10 from the 31 of the BC Lions. The Lions lead it by a score of 3-0 with 9:30 remaining in this opening quarter. James Sykes drives his way to the 25-yard line. He's stopped there by Rick Clausen.
You know, the first game that Sykes played, you could tell that he hadn't been playing for several weeks. And that last week, he got 124 yards, and he starts to hit his stride. Now he looks like the Sykes of old.
This is only the third game for James Sykes since being picked up by the Blue Bombers as an injury replacement for Willard Reeves. The veteran Al Wilson watching anxiously from the sidelines. Movement at the line of scrimmage again, and Mac Miller was into that Bomber backfield before the ball had been snapped. Now, is it offside or procedure against Winnipeg? John Bunk indicates that it is against the BC Lions.
Well, we'll see. You see Mac Moore, I think there's no doubt about it, it's the BC Lions.
Well, that Bond took an awful blow, too. The centers aren't expecting something like that.
Outside, BC number 78, first down.
Well, of course, that's in reference to the fact that the gorilla at the Dallas Zoo picked the BC Lions to win this Western final against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That hit screen to Boyd. Boyd doing some fine running to pick up a couple of yards when it appeared as though he was going to be struck for a loss.
That's an excellent play by Joe Heath. Did he come up there in a hurry? And that's what you have to do. Winnipeg made so many yards with this last week, you can't allow them to get those blockers set. Watch 26 come in low, try to get a hold of that leg. Boyd made a good move to get away from him, pick up 1 yard.
And this is the play that was so successful for both he and Murphy last week.
2nd and 9, Winnipeg. Wide open is Joe Poplawski. He's got a first down inside the 10. Brought down there by Nelson Martin.
What you saw, Don, you saw the BC Lions really showed their safety blitz early, and Tom Clements is too smart for that. Along with Rick House, he went down and went to the outside, and that puts them in trouble. Watch the blitz coming. They got everybody and their brother coming after Clements. He gets rid of it in a hurry.
That outside receivers came across there at 2 and just kind of got in the way of the defender trying to go out, Nelson Martin, to pick up Rick House on his breakout pattern.
It's 1st and goal, Winnipeg, from just inside the 10-yard line. Clements into the end zone. Touchdown, Joe Poplawski. Joe Poplawski, who was an instrumental figure in this drive, made a big catch on a 2nd down conversion in the end zone for the touchdown on the throw from Tom Clements.
And Tom is running to his left. It's very difficult to make this throw. He turns back, gets his shoulders turned upfield, and gets it in the end zone. And Poplawski and Murphy are right together there, but Poplawski comes down with the ball.
Trevor Kennard with the point after. He puts it through. So with 7:24 remaining in this opening quarter, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, at least temporarily, have silenced the full house here at the stadium at BC Place, and we'll be back with the Winnipeg kickoff after this.
CBC, the place to be for the 1983 Grey Cup, the Shenley Awards, the parade from Vancouver, then from the spectacular BC Place. It's the thrill of it all, pregame show and the game itself. CBC's got it covered.
Trevor Kennard preparing to kick off for the Blue Bombers following the Tom Clements to Joe Poplawski touchdown. Winnipeg in front, 7-3. Crawford preparing to return the kickoff from the 12-yard line. He finds some running room down the sidelines, and he got out to the 39. He was stopped there by Chris Walby.
You'll see Clements start out to his left, and the most difficult thing for a right-handed passer is to throw until he gets those shoulders turned upfield. Watch, he gets the shoulders turned upfield, gets the ball down in the end zone, and Poplawski and Murphy are both down there, but when you throw it up and there's 2 good receivers down there, they got a chance to come down with it, just like Joe did.
Back to the live action, first down from the 38. Vernon Paul and Doug McIver both got in to drop Ray Strong for a loss of a couple of yards. This Winnipeg defense appears to be fired up this afternoon.
You want to know something, though, Don? Before the game, the Vancouver team come out there and were jumping around and acting like they're going to lose their mind, and Winnipeg looked like they were settled. And as a result, Moore made a mistake jumping off balance, and Winnipeg is very composed out there, but they, as you say, they're up, too.
You can't take that long to throw the football when you're going to throw it in the middle. Roy DeWalt went back in the pocket, had lots and lots of time, but as long as he took to throw the football, allowed Aaron Brown and those linebackers to get deep. Watch how much time DeWalt has. Look, he's looking around. Now he goes to throw, and Aaron Brown just cuts right in front. boy, he's been a heck of a football player for those Bombers this year.
You better put something on it when you throw it in his area, because he can go to the football. He's got that speed that when in the flight of the ball, he'll go get it.
John Henry White was the intended receiver, and Aaron Brown, the Ohio State grad, who was in his first full season with Winnipeg, provides the Bombers with 1st and 10 at the 20 of the BC Lions. In the end zone, touchdown, Jeff Boyd. Well, hold it. Is it a touchdown? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. For a minute, there was an indication that perhaps he'd been stopped at the 1, but Jeff Boyd got into the end zone.
And look at Clements roll out to his right here. He's so good at doing this and improvising. Looks like he's getting away from the defender and going to run now, but using the experience that he has, looks downfield, and watch him drill it in there. Right into Boyd's numbers, and you just can't put it in there any better than that.
So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with 2 quick touchdowns here in the opening quarter. 6:01 is the time remaining, the point after by Trevor Kennard, and the Bombers are now in front 14-3, and will return to the stadium at BC Place, and the Winnipeg kickoff after this. The kickoff sails to Crawford down near the goal area, and Crawford is stopped at the 25. Kickoff of 63 yards by Trevor Kennard. Sean Kehoe was in there to make the tackle on Larry Crawford. And while this was a very noisy crowd at the start of the ball game, it is very quiet here at the stadium at BC Place right now. A 22-yard run back by Larry Crawford.
Well, that's what Tom Clements has done. He's playing a typical Clements ball game. He'll nickel and dime you, scramble out of trouble, make big plays, and that takes this crowd out of the ball game, and that's the Winnipeg's advantage.
That's what Winnipeg was hoping to do early. Get some points and silence the crowd. And right now, as I said, they are very quiet. DeWalt on 1st down. DeWalt can't find a receiver. He's in some trouble. Caught by John Pointer. Still got the pass away. And it's incomplete, intended for Ray Strong. But DeWalt was in trouble.
He had enough time to throw the football, but there were no receivers open downfield. That Winnipeg secondary is doing a job down there, and they are putting the heat on them.
Well, look up there at the score. It's 14-3. And now you tell the mettle of a football team, just like those Toronto Argonauts today. Now, they came back when they got behind, and that's what BC has to do.
Second and 10. Wall again. He comes from behind. He fumbles the football. Who's got it? I believe the BC Lions were able to recover. Tyrone Jones was pursuing from behind. John Sturdivant from his defensive end position was in there as well. But watch the ball being stripped by Tony Norman, who got there first.
And I'm sure that this was one of Cal Murphy's plans to put a lot of pressure on DeWalt. He hasn't had that much playoff experience yet.
Now it's a punting situation. And Bisaglia hits a good one. Paul Bennett back at his 38-yard line. Trying to get outside of Nelson Martin. And he's forced out of bounds at the 45 with 4:49 remaining in this opening quarter. That was a 54-yard kick by Lou Bisaglia. Andre Jones was downfield to make the tackle. And look at that statistic for Tom Clements. He has yet to miss a pass.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's just a proven veteran. He's been in so many big games, you don't even like to talk about it anymore. He's got that experience, and he's doing just what Tom Clements loves to do. Get outside, run around with that football, and the receivers go to the open spot. He'll find them.
Sure, let the defense make the mistake.
That's what he's doing.
That's what Cal Murphy said to us prior to the game. They can talk all they want about our garbage offense, but it's Tom Clements who makes it happen. Hand off to James Sykes. And Leo, you made an observation earlier that James Sykes in the last game and so far in this one appears to be running like the James Sykes of old, and I concur.
Boy, he didn't have much to go on right there, but he found that little seam in there and turned upfield and got himself about 6 yards, maybe 7.
It will be 2nd and 3. Vikes had 124 yards last week in the semifinal win over Edmonton. Ball is at the 53. The pitch to James White again. He dives for the midfield strike. Mac Moore pulled the feet out from under the Winnipeg running back, and now will the Bombers kick it away, or will they gamble on third and about a yard?
Well, I bet they better kick it.
Well, obviously, you've got a pipeline to the Winnipeg bench, Leo, because Cal Murphy is sending in the punting unit.
Looks almost 2 yards.
Yeah,
Kick that football.
Can't
Your
take a
defense is
chance.
playing well, right?
Especially when you're ahead like this, too, Ron. You know you're going to, with this kid, you're going to get pretty good field position down there if you get any kind of coverage at all.
3:57, the time remaining in this opening quarter. It's 14-3. Winnipeg leading. JoJo Heath and Crawford are back for the third down punt by Bob Cameron.
As I said before, though, Don, it's important now, and it's going to show the mettle of the BC Lions to just settle down and come back now. They're a good football team. They've won a lot of games. They're not going to let 14 points break them down.
JoJo Heath is caught back at the 5-yard line. Sean Keogh had hold of his leg. Heath tried to get up to about the 7 or 8 yard line, and he may have actually been successful in getting that far, but he was in the grasp of Sean Kehoe. Well, Roy DeWalt has not been able to generate much offense so far. That opening kickoff fumbled by Kirby Wilson, somewhat reminiscent of the first time these two teams met here at the stadium at BC Place, as the opening kickoff was fumbled by Winnipeg on the 3-yard line, and the Lions went on to the 44-6 rout. However, in this ball game, the Bomber defensive unit held, and the Bombers have been putting the points on the board. Incomplete. Pass was intended for Ray Strong. It will be 2nd and 10.
Don, a great deal of enthusiasm down here at the Winnipeg Blue Bomber bench. I think part of their success in the early going in this football game might go back to last week and having played in a semifinal. The BC Lions a little lethargic as they look at this football game right now.
Well, John, Ron Lancaster and I and Leo were talking about that before the game. If you could be assured that you were going to go through a semifinal game and win and not suffer any serious injuries, I think you'd want to be playing, right, Ron?
You bet. You got to play every week.
On 2nd down, out of the end zone, there's the screen pass to John Henry wide, and he'll be very close to the first down. Let's see where they mark it. The Lions needed that one. It may be close enough to require a measurement. Bud Ulrich, the referee this afternoon.
Well, you never know what are big plays and what aren't, but when you're packed up in your own zone like this, they hit a little screen pass to John Henry. He gets turned upfield. This guy's been doing it for him for a few years. And it's a little bit close. We're going to see what happens, but you got to move that ball away from your own goal line when you're backed up. Well, you see how far this is. What do you think, Leo?
Donnie Matthews is going to go for it.
You got to get it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's no tomorrow if you don't get this one in a lot of cases. But he says if we're going to give the team any confidence at all, there's less than a half a yard to go. Let's go get it. That took a little bit of pressure off DeWalt that last pass. Now, if they make this first down, they may settle down and start coming back as a football team. They've been too good all year to just collapse in a game here in front of all these people.
They have to get outside the 17-yard line for the first down. A third down gamble here for the Lions.
Yeah, he got it.
DeWalt keeps it and gets the first down. 2:28 is the time remaining. Don Matthews, the rookie head coach of the Lions. He took the job on the 4th of January, 1983.
He's done a great job, too. And as far as DeWalt is concerned, all the pressure from getting out from under that goal line was on him. He got him to within a yard, and then he was called upon to make the first down. This has got to bolster his confidence a little bit.
Mervyn Fernandez comes out wide to the right. DeWalt to John Henry White, forced out of bounds by Vernon Paul, very close to a first down again.
Don, we talked before the ball game that we thought they'd use John Henry Wright and Strong as pass receivers. The reason for that is they can double receivers outside, but you're never going to get double coverage on the back. It's him and a linebacker. You'll see the ball thrown to him, and who's chasing him? Vernon Paul. So you got to hope that you can beat the linebacker.
You can almost without harping on this, you can almost watch the Waltz settle down now and get the feel of the ball game. He's taking them out from the goal line. This is a good sign as far as he's concerned.
On first down, John Henry White again. And he does an excellent job of fighting his way out to the 38. He'll be close to another first down. Credit John Henry White with a gain of 9 before being stopped by Donovan Rose.
Just a quick sprint. White goes straight out in the flat, and then it's up to him, puts a good move on Pointer, gets outside, picks up about 8 or 9 yards. But I think that DeWalt, as Leo said, is settled down, staying with the game plan, don't panic, but they have moved it away from the goalpost, and that's what they needed to do.
Well, the BC Lions had the #1 offense in the CFL this season, scoring 477 points. On second down, Strong should have the first down. It appears as though he got to the 40-yard line. With 40 seconds remaining in the opening quarter, Winnipeg leads it by a score of 14-3. And in case you missed it, the Toronto Argonauts will be here 1 week from today, representing the Eastern Conference following their 41-36 triumph over the Hamilton Tiger Cats. What a tremendous ball game at CNE Stadium. A record crowd of over 54,000 watched that one. Almost 60,000 jammed into the stadium here at BC Place for this one. And, of course, there'll be 60,000 next Sunday as well. Grey Cup tickets are definitely at a premium. DeWalt with time to go. He's hit from behind by Tony Norman. It appered as though he had the time to go deep, and he was hit by Tony Norman and dropped for a loss of about 7. And that is also the final play of the opening quarter. Winnipeg Blue Bombers with an 11-point edge on the British Columbia Lions. Well, we're ready to start the second quarter in this Western Championship game. The winner, of course, will face the Toronto Argonauts next Sunday in the Grey Cup game, and you'll see it on CBC television as CBC television produces Grey Cup 83 from this magnificent facility here on the West Coast.
Can you imagine the emotion connected to that game over in Toronto today against those two arch rivals? Must have really been something right down to the wire.
Second and 16. And the pressure on him, but he got the free pass away. A good defensive move by linebacker Vernon Paul.
Well done. You saw John Pointer and those linebackers coming on that blitz, and DeWalt dumped it real quick. But boy, what a defensive play by that man, Vernon Paul, or there's big yardage to be gained.
I don't think Vernon Paul really has received the recognition for the job he has done at the linebacking position this year for Winnipeg. Tyrone Jones, Aaron Brown, and John Pointer have been the more highly publicized, but the University of Prince Edward Island product has been very, very steady.
Well, they're in man-for-man coverage on that. Paul had the fullback, had White on it. Boy, it's just a good thing he fought off the block because everybody else was cleared. That would have been a long gainer.
Great hit by Battaglia. Bennett retreats all the way to his 11-yard line. Bennett does a pretty good job of running it back. He gets to the 27. Kirby Wilson threw a good block on Nelson Martin to enable Bennett to get outside.
Well, anytime you're going to receive punts, that's the man you want handling the football for you. He's had such a great career at returning punts. Very reliable and dependable.
Lou Pasaglia has indoor punting cased pretty well, though. He averaged about 50 yards on the season. A lot of that substantial yardage coming in this building.
Well, he still had to venture outside of this building 8 times during the course of the year, John, and he had better than a 50-yard punting average. But in the dome, he has been superb. That was a 62-yard kick. Winnipeg again with all of that motion. Jeff Boyd out at the 45-yard line, and he was able to hang on.
Boy, he threw it right down there, right in the middle of a lot of orange shirts. But Boyd again, and Clemens has got a lot of confidence in those receivers. Even if they're covered, he throws it down there and lets them go up after it. And just like Poplawski down in the end zone, he went up and got that ball.
Well, you're going to see a zone defense. Boyd just turns in between the linebackers and secondary. Clemens gets it to the high spot, and Boyd goes up and gets it. Well, you have to have a lot of confidence in a guy to do that.
That's for sure.
From the 39.5, or 44.5, little swing pass. intended for James Sykes, incomplete.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, that almost was a lateral. I'm surprised that defender there didn't pick the ball up and try to run with it just to test the officials on that.
So it will be 2nd and 10, Winnipeg from the 44.5. Winnipeg leading by a score of 14-3. That's the first pass that Clemens has missed this afternoon, and it wasn't his fault.
Well, he got the pressure in a hurry, and it's one of those slip screens. He's just going to throw it out there and let him run.
Clemens to Rick House, incomplete. He was drilled by Kerry Parker. Rick House momentarily protested to the official that he had been interfered with, but there was no flag, and Winnipeg is forced into a punting situation. But Clemens had lots of time.
Well, you see him take that first look, Leo.
Bootleg actually throws off the wrong foot and everything else and still drills it down in there, but just a tip. It would have been another great play by Clemens.
They've got 11 people up, the BC Lions have, for this 3rd down punt. Larry Crawford, the lone punt returner, back at his 12-yard line. And he's brought down at the 25. Ken Ciancone was downfield to make the tackle. 12:40 is the time remaining here in the first half. The stadium at BC Place. Winnipeg leads it 14-3. Well, we're sitting here in comfort. It's a shirt-sleeve crowd at the stadium at BC Place, and it will be that way next week for the Grey Cup game. Just think, Leo, 12 years ago, if you would have had this facility, you might have won a Grey Cup game.
We'd have whooped them if we had a dry field out.
1st and 10 for the Lions. They are at the 25-yard line. Over the middle quickly to John Henry White, and he'll have a gain of about 8. John Pointer made the tackle. Ron, you had an opportunity to talk with Don Matthews before the game. Was this in their plan to use John Henry White as a receiver as much as they have?
Yeah, I talked to Don and to Adam Rita, their offensive coordinator, and they wanted the Walt to stick with the high percentage passes, the short ones, use the backs, get them one-on-one with the linebackers until they can figure out the Winnipeg defense, because the defense didn't allow them to throw long.
Walt has completed 6 passes. 5 of them have gone to John Henry White. Movement at the line of scrimmage. Winnipeg will be charged with an offside. It appeared as though Tyrone Jones jumped prior to the ball being snapped. 14-3. Winnipeg leads it. 2 quick touchdowns in the opening quarter. One by Joe Poplawski, the other by Jeff Boyd.
Boy, look at Aaron Brown fill that hole. They tried to just run straight at him, but Aaron Brown met it head on.
Offside. Winnipeg, number 69. 1st down.
So with an offside, it is 1st and 10 from the 38.
I believe I'd be tempted to go for a long one to Fernandez or one of those wide receivers just to loosen them up a little bit.
Well, not as deep as those backs are, Leo. Look at it. That's what you want.
Incomplete, intended for John Pancratz.
Boy, they had the ideal play for the ideal defense, and he just couldn't get it to Pancratz. They had that area cleared out. Just threw it low.
Roy DeWalt, 6 of 11 for 50 yards. And of course, 1 interception. That interception by Aaron Brown paved the way for a Winnipeg touchdown. 11:32, the time remaining in the half. 14-3, Winnipeg leads. 2nd and 10 BC. The Lions at their own 38. DeWalt throws it over the middle to Fernandez. 1st down.
The thing about this play here is if you give any quarterback that much time, there's going to be a receiver break open. It takes an awful good defense to cover people down there like that. Bennett made the tackle, but, you know, he was coming across against it. Watch McIver come in here, number 64, and he gets double teamed. You know, when you spin off of a block and you go right into the face of another guy and he's waiting there in a leverage position, he can really do a job on him. He got a job done on him that time.
Mervyn Fernandez, the Lions' leading receiver in 1983. Green is caught and hauled down by, DeWalt is hauled down by Sturdivant at the midfield stripe. Sammy Green had been the Lions' leading receiver up until late in the year when, for some as yet unexplained reason, he and the Lions parted company. And John Sturdivant, a recent addition to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, playing that defensive end spot in place of the injured Pete Caton. That brought down quarterback Roy DeWalt and limited his gain to about 1.5 yards. Second, 8.5. Pointer gets to DeWalt. He got away. Still in his feet. Gets the pass away. Incomplete. Intended for Jacques Chapdelaine. Ned Armour tried to grab it as well on the deflection. But the BC Lions will be forced to kick it away, and that brings in Lou Pasaglia, the possessor of a 58-yard punting average in this ball game. Paul Bennett is back along with Kirby Wilson. Wilson will field it at the 10. He's tackled by Ryan Potter at the 13-yard line. So that's where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be scrimmaging, 1st and 10 with 9:40 remaining in the half when we return to the stadium at BC Place. Well, an interested spectator here at the stadium is Michael Spinks. And on Friday night, as part of the Grey Cup Week celebrations, you'll be involved in a title fight against Oscar Rivadeneira. Michael, are you in pretty good shape for the bout?
Yes, I am. I'm in pretty good shape.
Well, you have some fond remembrances, of course, of Canada. I harken back to 1976 in the Olympics.
Oh, yeah, lots of pleasant memories. Everything started right here for me. The winning of the gold medal, and from then on, it's just been all uphill for me.
Well, good luck in your bout on Friday night, Michael.
All right, thank you so much.
Michael Spinks will be involved at the Pacific Coliseum Friday night for those who may be coming out to Grey Cup 83. World heavyweight champion will be going against Oscar Rivadeneira.
George really has him going, Don. Crazy George.
Second down, Winnipeg, and about 8. For Murphy, incomplete. Larry Crawford was defending against James Murphy. He got a hand on it.
Don, that was a big series for the BC Lions. They need to get some field position. Finally, they stopped the Bombers. The Bombers had been moving. This time he tries to get a flag pattern, lays it up, but the ball's there, but the defender arrives at the same time. Now, they should get good enough field position. You cannot move the length of the field every time you get the ball. This is when they have to make their move right now.
Quite a punting duel involving Bob Cameron and Lou Pasaglia. Good kick by Cameron. Crawford goes back to his 45-yard line and squirms his way out to the 51. Cal Murphy, like his counterpart, Don Matthews, a rookie head coach in this 1983 season. Cal Murphy trying to win a 7th consecutive Grey Cup ring. Don Matthews trying to make it 6 in a row. DeWalt for John Henry wide, incomplete. It almost would appear, Ron, that Winnipeg in that secondary is doing a good job of covering the BC receivers, forcing DeWalt to dump it off.
They did a great job there. That was a sprint-out pattern. Then they want John Henry White to just check, block, and then come back across the green, and DeWalt couldn't get him the football. A little bit too far.
Well, there's a lot of running, or a lot of passing back there in the secondary behind the linebackers if they can hold those linebackers a little bit, and I think they're going to try to get to it.
2nd and 10 from the 51 with 8:04 remaining in the half. DeWalt to Fernandez. Fernandez dives to the Winnipeg 43. A gain of 16. DeWalt to Fernandez.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You go down and you work in and cross behind those linebackers, get into those holes. Fernandez is good at that. You just got to give him a little bit of time and let him look downfield. And when you get those backs coming up, you can go deep.
Fernandez on the sidelines with all alone, and he got up out of bounds with a first down, forced out by Wiley Turner. Well, let's say they rule that he stepped up before he got the necessary 10 yards. It will be a gain of 9.5.
Now, this is a perfect place right here for a play-action pass, Ron. Because they're in position as you see him make the catch right here. Now, he should be driving right for that flag right now. He's trying to get to it, but the foot comes down just before he gets there, and it's a good call by the official. But right here, you know they're going to go for it on 3rd down. So a play-action pass here into that defensive line and hold those linebackers in might get him a touchdown.
That's the 3rd catch of the day for Merv Fernandez. Good call, Leo. John Pancras for the first down.
Well, Leo, he sent Fernandez down the field, and he was double covered, so that gives Pancras one-on-one coverage over there. He went to the man with the single coverage, made it work.
Yeah, they kept everybody else in and blocked him. And
everybody.
The play-action fake wasn't that pronounced. He could have done a little bit better job with the play-action fake, but he accomplished what he wanted to in getting a one-on-one down there.
What the Walt looked at, he wanted to see where Paul Bennett, the middle safety, went. Wherever he goes the other way.
That's it. You're right. How many times have you done that?
Every time you throw.
DeWalt had some problems earlier in this ball game, but he's now 10 for 17. He gets to Strong, and Strong to the 5-yard line, another first down.
They look like he was shot out of a gun right here. That's what you call running to daylight and just running past people and not stopping and trying to reconnoiter, but just heading for that goal line.
Ray Strong, a rookie out of the University of Nevada in Las Vegas, putting the Lions in position where they're now 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. Moving at the line of scrimmage. Strong gets it again, but this defensive effort on the part of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Aaron Brown, will go for naught, as it appeared as though Winnipeg was offside.
When you're in a playoff game, offensively or defensively, in this part of the field, you can't make those kind of mistakes. You got to watch that football if you're on defense. Well, I'll tell you, he was moving, but I don't know if he got there or not. You and coach on that yard line, though. They'll call it.
It's 1st and goal now from just outside the 2-yard line. It's at about the 2.5 with 5:32 remaining in the half.
Well, this is what we call 3-down territory down here. They're going to go for all 3 downs to try to get it in there. So what do you do, Ron? Do you throw on 1st down, or do you just run it in there 3 times and let John Henry?
Run it in there.
John Henry White get it in there.
John Henry White, and he stopped. Good defensive play there by Aaron Brown, the linebacker. It appeared as though John Henry White had a path to the end zone.
You don't see a better job than that by a linebacker. He scraped off there, and it looked for all intent and purposes, Don, as you said, like he was going right in the end zone, and he met him in the hole.
Well, he took the momentum. Watch the hit.
Watch it, out of nowhere. Boom!
I thought he was going in, boy. That's a great defensive play.
Second and goal from the 1. DeWalt keeps. He's in there. Putting it in the end zone, and it's now 14-9. The point after by Castaglia. And it's 14-10. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading the BC Lions with 4:45 remaining in the first half, and we'll return with the BC kickoff after this.
BC Place will provide a beautiful setting for Grey Cup 83, and you won't miss a moment on CBC television. Thursday, the first time ever, coast-to-coast coverage of the Shenley Awards. Then Saturday, a special sports weekend, the festival in the Grey Cup. Then on Sunday, we begin 5 hours of coverage with the thrill of it all, starting at 4 Eastern. A Grey Cup 83 on CBC.
Wilson on the kickoff return got up to the 26-yard line. He was stopped there by Bernie Gleer. Here's another look at the Roy DeWalt touchdown. He simply followed the center, Al Wilson, into the end zone. And with that touchdown by Roy DeWalt, the crowd, 60,000 here at the stadium at BC Place, have come alive. James Sykes. Larry Crawford made the tackle at the 33. James Sykes, that will be a pickup of 7 yards. It will be 2nd and 3 Winnipeg. 4:15 is the time remaining in this opening half. Sykes has carried 6 times for 31 yards so far. Ron, you pointed out earlier that Glenn Jackson has not been in the ball game. I don't think he's made an appearance yet, has he?
No, he hasn't. He's still over on the sideline.
Jeff Boyd takes the pass, and he goes out of bounds with a first down at the 44. He was wrestled down there by JoJo Heath. A gain of 11. Clements has hit on 9 of 12 for 113 yards, and you will see all the Grey Cup action on CBC television. I'm not quite so sure at this particular stage of the ball game, however, whether it will be the BC Lions. The pass to Jeff Boyd as he came back with an excellent move. He got his quarterback out of trouble and converted it into a first down.
Almost made the mortal sin, though, in making that move. He almost stepped back and didn't get his first down. Luckily, he didn't reach back and get it. But Clements, again, making something out of nothing. Should have been tackled 3 times back here. Comes back to meet the ball.
That's the 5th time that Boyd has hauled in a pass this afternoon. He now has 61 yards. 3:05 is the time remaining in the half. It's 1st and 10. Winnipeg at the midfield stripe. Mac Moore jumped offside. So Winnipeg will be looking at a 1st and 5 situation from the BC 50 when we return.
Well, a special halftime show in Vancouver today. First highlights from the Eastern Final, then live to Toronto with Brian Williams in conversation with Bob Obilovich, head coach of the Eastern champion Toronto Argonauts. As well, highlights from an exciting first half in Vancouver.
Indeed, it has been exciting, John. It's 1st and 5 from the 50-yard line. James Sykes trying to get outside. He turns the corner with a first down to the 39. Forced out by Andre Jones.
He couldn't have done this 3 weeks ago. His legs weren't in good enough shape, but that time he went down the line of scrimmage and just outran some pretty fast defensive backs and made the corner and turned it upfield.
You know, Sykes never looks like he's moving fast, but I'll tell you, as you say, he outruns some pretty good speed back there.
He sure did.
James Sykes, an emergency replacement for the injured rookie Willard Reeves, a former Blue Bomber ball boy. Cy Wolfman, his agent, living in Los Angeles, responsible for getting James Sykes into the lineup of the Blue Bombers. Clements is in trouble, but he ducks away from Reset, throws the pass, it's picked up. Picked off the Tom Clements pass.
And Tom comes down. I'm sure that he wished he didn't throw this, and he took an awful lick after he did throw it. But it's the old tip drill.
Deflected by the intended receiver, Jeff Boyd.
Now watch him hit right after he throws it. Right there. Vaughn came in and really laid it on him, and Tommy felt that when he came off there.
He's gone to the Winnipeg bench, Tom Clements has, favoring that left shoulder, that collarbone that was broken earlier in the air. DeWolf to the sidelines, incomplete.
He made a great throw throwing that away because Pointer was in perfect position to intercept. He threw that out as far as he could go. It's not quite to the stands, but it was in that direction.
Well, at that Winnipeg bench, trainer Pat Clayton tending to Tom Clements. They were looking at his left shoulder. Clements appears to be in pain. John Huffnagel is warming up.
Very attentive Cal Murphy is over there taking a look at the situation, close-up hand.
Incomplete. It was intended for Ned Armour. And the BC Lions will be forced into a punting situation. David Shaw was defending.
Not a bad time to sit Tom Clements out. 2:22 left in the first half. Let him sit out, let Huffnagel finish his half. Give him a chance to check Clements out real well.
The good point on that, Ron, is that Huffnagel doesn't have a lot of pressure on him going in because he's going to get pretty good field position here.
Well, John Wells is standing by down at that BC bench, and perhaps he can give us an indication as to what the concern is as far as Clements goes. John?
Well, they're checking out Clements' shoulder, Don, and there's great concern down here right now, although Clements seemed to be in a great deal of pain when he came off. He was a little more relaxed as he rested a little bit.
Bernie Gleer grabbed that ball at the 46-yard line. I don't know what he could have possibly been thinking about. It had not been touched by a Winnipeg player. It immediately drew a flag. You see athletic therapist Pat Clayton talking with Tom Clements.
Well, Blair must have thought he was going to try to fool the officials and make them think that he kicked the ball or something. Well, that was an awful mindless thing to do at this point of the game because that really improved the Winnipeg team.
BC number 7, first down.
So the Blue Bombers will take over at the 31 of the BC Lions, and John Huffnagel has gone in to replace Tom Clements. Appeared to be a mix-up there as Huffnagel gave it to James Sykes, but there appeared to be some confusion.
Well, see, you get that when you get a new quarterback in there and he's not got his timing down exactly. Takes him a couple plays to get the feel, and that's a cross-buck action in there. Demands a little ball handling, and it's a very difficult play to call the first play that you're in there.
A pickup of 3. It will be 2nd and 7 Winnipeg. Huffnagel throwing into the end zone for Jeff Boyd. It's picked off. JoJo Heath.
Jeff Boyd knocked him into it.
Well, that could prove to hurt the Winnipeg Blue Bombers because they were in field goal range. But JoJo Heath with the interception. Turns the ball over to the Lions with now 1:50 remaining in the half.
Watch this, Don. Watch. Boyd jumps and actually knocks JoJo Heath into the football.
Wasn't that nice?
He said, thank you.
I'll tell you, when you get down there in playoff time, you've got to come out with a couple points.
First and 10 for the Lions. JoJo Heath's second interception. The ball is at the 20. Herman Fernandez, the intended receiver, he was being covered by David Shaw.
Miscommunication. DeWalt thought he was going to go down and stop. He threw it at him. Fernandez broke to the inside.
I think maybe Fernandez read blitz on that, looked to the inside, read blitz, and broke to the inside, and DeWalt went with the initial call, which, as you say, was a stop on the outside, because he threw it where he wasn't.
It will be second and 10 from the 20 with 1:47 remaining. Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading here in the first half, 14-10. The pass incomplete. It was intended for Chapdelaine. And the Lions again are forced into a kicking situation.
Well, Doug McIver put a hit on DeWalt just as he threw the football. That may be the reason that the ball went high. Watch DeWalt. He's looking down the middle. You see Doug McIver gets loose. Now watch Chapdelaine take a hit. Well, Paul Bennett's been known to hit you if you come in the middle. They may try to block this. The last time Aaron Brown got awful close.
Another great kick by Bisaglia. Bennett retreats to his 40-yard line. He fights his way out to the 54 with 1:30. Time remaining here in the first half. A 51-yard kick that time by Lou Bisaglia. He's averaging 49 yards every time he puts his foot to the ball.
Don, just to update that injury to quarterback Tom Clements, they believe it's a bruised shoulder. They're going to check it out very carefully at halftime. But Clements is not expected back in the first half, although they are not too terribly concerned about a collarbone or one of the other injuries we did talk about.
Well, that's good news for Winnipeg.
John Hufnagel, who was the quarterback in that 33-18 loss in Winnipeg on Thanksgiving Day, throwing deep, intended for Poplawski.
You see who was in the game finally? Glenn Jackson almost got Hufnagel before he threw it. That's about his first action today. I'll tell you what, he's an 8-year veteran, and you know he wants to be in the ball game.
Ron, from your observation, and Leo as well, Jackson perhaps coming in now because Hufnagel not quite as mobile as Tom Clements. Any reasoning there?
No, I think Jackson's going to test that knee right now with a half coming up to see if he can go.
I think Jackson just
drove the coach nuts.
Yeah, put so much heat on the coach that he said, go ahead in there, get off my back.
Pass is complete to Joe Poplawski. Brought down by Jackson, fumbles the ball, BC recovers. Well, the BC Lions with 4 turnovers now.
Well, we're going to see Glenn Jackson. This is what he's in there for. You know he wants to play. Hufnagel just dumps it right now. Watch the hit coming by Glenn Jackson, number 37.
And Conard, too, got a hit in here. Boom, right there. And, you know, there's a reason when you have those fumbles out there. There's some people going and hitting with reckless abandon.
Spins his way out to about the 39-yard line. That will be a pickup of about 4. It will be second and 6.
Watch Glenn Jackson here. He's so anxious from being out of that ball game to go in there and hit somebody. He goes to 60 man in there and just kind of pulls the arm loose from the ball, and the ball goes on the ground.
Well, he's been a great performer in the last 8 years for these Lions.
Well, if you ever talk to him before a game, you know he loves to play, and it must have just been hell for him to stand on those sidelines and not be able to play in this playoff game.
That's why he's in there. He's drove the coach crazy trying to get in the ball.
That's right.
Out of Simon Fraser University, Glenn Jackson. The pass complete. Pancratz may have the first down. He goes to the 47. The Yardsticks move on with 49 seconds remaining in the half. 14-10 is the score in favor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
First down. Good job by Ned Armour coming back. He ran his curl pattern, he got in trouble, and he came back and made the catch, still picked up the first down. But at least they're going to measure it anyway.
Well, he and Fernandez both are very elusive when they catch that ball on the outside.
The Lions are ready to go with that hurry-up offense, but this one requires a measurement. That gave Roy DeWalt the opportunity to go over to the sidelines and confer with his head coach, Don Matthews. It's just short of a first down. DeWalt has hit on 12 of 23 attempts. Early in the ball game, he was 1 for 7. 36 seconds, the time remaining in the half. Winnipeg leading by a score of 14-10.
They're going to try to get Fernandez and Armour both into the inside. Hit them coming across.
The ball keeps for the first down.
When they get in there on the inside, then they can go for that field goal, put some more points on the board before they can win at halftime.
That took the clock down to 29 seconds. The Lions trying to run this next play without benefit of a huddle as Don Matthews looks on. Picked off by Paul Bennett.
Bennett must have been...
he was reading somebody's mail on that one.
Thinking the same thing because he was looking at it.
They had double coverage on inside. And boy, Paul Bennett played it just as well as you can ask. The only thing he didn't do is catch the football.
He's the Shenley nominee in the Western Conference for the Outstanding Canadian Award. 22 seconds remaining. Second and 10. The ball is at the 53. Roy DeWalt is hit just to be through. Vernon Paul decked the BC quarterback who was looking for Mervyn Fernandez. Vernon Paul was coming from the blind side, and he really decked Roy DeWalt.
Well, he stepped up first. You'll see him step up in the pocket. There he goes. Now watch what happens. Those hurt. Well, don't want too many of those.
That's when it hurts the worst, too, when you overexpose yourself after following through at that throw. Ball's having a great first half.
There have been some outstanding individual performances through the first 30 minutes of this Western Championship game. One of them by Lou Pasaglia, who hits this one into the end zone. Paul Bennett will get it out of the end zone. He returns it to the 11-yard line with 3 seconds remaining in the half. So I think it's safe to assume that on this final play of the first half, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will simply run out the clock, quite content, head to the dressing room, leading by 4. Get to the quarters and regroup for the final 30 minutes of this Western Championship, with the winner going on to face the Toronto Argonauts 1 week from today in the Grey Cup game. And of course, you'll see all the excitement of Grey Cup '83 on CBC television. 1 second remains. Of course, on the change of possession, the clock does not start until the ball is snapped. And it took just 2 seconds for Hufnagel to get back and get down. Both coaches, Don Matthews and Cal Murphy, having already removed the headsets. And now the teams will head to the dressing room with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading after 30 minutes of play by a score of 14-10. Now, stay tuned for our halftime show.
Just before the second half kickoff in this Western final between the Bombers and the Lions, Joe Poplawski of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a touchdown in the first half. How did you look at that first half, Joe? How did you think you played it?
Well, you know, it's when you get to this point of the playoffs, you know that every team's going to be a good one, and it's certainly a tough game right now. There's been a lot of momentum changing in that first half, and hopefully we can just regroup and get the momentum going our way for the entire second half.
I know the Western Final is not new to Joe Poplawski, but is the feeling of playing the BC Lions different? Do the Bombers really think they've got a much better chance to win it this year?
Well, the Edmonton Eskimos were always the premier team in the CFL for the past 5 years. Finally, they've been knocked out, and now it's our turn, or BC's turn, to represent the West, and hopefully it will be our turn.
Good luck in the second half. Thanks very much to Joe Poplawski. Now, back upstairs, here's Don Whitman.
Well, the crowd here at the stadium at BC Place responding to the antics of Crazy George. And as you have witnessed already through the first 30 minutes, he can certainly get them going. Tom Clements on the Winnipeg bench as the kickoff to start the second half goes to Crockett, and he fights his way out to the 37-yard line. Brought down there by John Pointer. Winnipeg, as we mentioned, 4 turnovers in that first half, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. Tom Clements has been throwing the ball down on the sidelines, but it does appear as though John Hupney is going to go in to start this second half.
Well, Leo just made a good point. If Clements is able to play, he's got to get in right away. You can't let that thing stiffen up. So we're going to see what happens whenever they get the ball.
You know he wants to get in there. This is a big game. There's no tomorrow.
BC Lions from their own 37. The drop play was strong. Big hole. Upset by Paul Bennett. He fumbles the ball. Recovered by Winnipeg. But they're ruling that he was down. They're ruling that the play was dead before the ball popped away. And the Lions retain possession at the 51. A gallop of 22 yards by Ray Strong.
That guy hasn't carried the ball very much, but when he does, it looks like he's shot right out of a gun, and he knows where the goal line is. He doesn't deviate at all when he's got that straight path, and it's a good call by the officials. He was definitely down before that ball came out.
Paul Bennett came up from his safety position to slice the feet out from under Ray Strong. 1st and 10, the Lions. John Sandcraft unable to hang on. He was being covered by Donovan Rose. It will be 2nd and 10 from the Winnipeg 51. I'm sure, in this 3rd quarter, would like to strike quickly. They had some momentum going for them late in that 2nd quarter. They'd like to see a continuation here in the 2nd half. They trail by 4. Shaw was there defending, and Armour makes the catch at the 40-yard line.
They're arguing he didn't catch it, but I think he caught that football. That was a great catch. It looked like it bounced off his knee, and he grabbed it. Now let's take a look at it. You see the ball goes to his hands. Now you'll see it come loose off his foot, and he's got it.
Nobody will ever know. He's backwards to the camera. For all intents and purposes, it was good.
1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. Deep for Armour. Incomplete. Shaw covering again. It will be 2nd and 10 for the Lions at the 40-yard line.
What they did that time is when they threw that a little while ago, they threw it to the hook man over the middle, and Paul Bennett almost made the interception. He came charging up, and he went to the post. He had one-on-one with David Shaw, but he just threw it too far. Good coverage.
He had a little room to throw it in there to the middle, a little bit more to him that time with Paul out of there, too.
Well, you know, when you take that man out of the hole, and that's that safety out of the middle, there's a lot of room to throw it.
2nd and 10 from the 40-yard line. Lions trailing 14-10. DeWalt, penalty flag, Vernon Paul on Mark the Braves.
Well, there's no doubt about this call.
Well, he had a hold on him before the ball got there, and that constitutes a no-no.
Watch it. You know, even if he catches that football, he don't have the 1st down, but the interference gives him a 1st down.
That That's a good point right there, Ron, because I would have thought that he had the first down, but he's 5 yards short, maybe almost 10 yards short of the first down. No, he was 5 yards short, I guess.
35, first and 10. The rope, and perhaps incomplete.
You know,
pattern similar to the one they ran earlier on this drive.
Should have got that in there, Don. He's rolling out to his right, which is an easy throw for a quarterback. And all you got to do is just take your time and get the ball in there. But he hurried the throw, and he wasn't rushed either. And I know he's going to be mad at himself because, as you say, that was the second time on this drive that he's missed Pancratz on that play. Pancratz.
The Walt has completed 13 of 29 attempts for 136 yards. Second and 10 from the Winnipeg 35. That appears to be a broken play. The Wall is going to get about 8 yards. He was looking for Ray Strong.
He almost got it the second time around.
He missed him the first time, almost gave it to him the second time.
There's no more lonesome feeling than to turn around and see nobody there. And I tell you what, he panicked. I watch him go.
Well, watch this. Watch this. This is funny.
Oh, wait a
Strong
minute.
going up there. Now Strong comes back, and Strong says, "You're going to give it to me?" And he said, "No, get out of the way."
Well, I'll tell you what, he made a great gain out of it, though. Got 7 yards.
That's what's called a fake draw, run in a circle, give it to him the second time around.
Well, as you see, Lucas Aglia has not missed a field goal attempt against Winnipeg this season from the 35-yard line. He hooked that one. And it goes through the end zone for a single point. So it's now 14-11 with 12:04 remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg in front. The Blue Bombers for their first offensive series of the second half have John Hufnagel at quarterback.
Here's where the psychological warfare comes in. This crowd, they can't hear their plays, hardly.
Complete to James Murphy. First down, Winnipeg at the 47-yard line.
Well, James Murphy went down and like he was going to go deep, and then all of a sudden just turned around. Hufnagel put it high, but Murphy made the catch. Big play for Hufnagel to start the quarter. Hit that first pass. That's a big one.
Well, Murphy and Boyd both, they come down with that ball within 1 point. They've got excellent hands.
They get up there.
First and 10. The Bombers up their own 47-yard line. The handoff to James Sykes, trying to get outside and then cutting back in for a pickup of about 6 yards. Brent Reset made the stop on James Sykes.
Well, that wasn't the first time this afternoon. It looked like he should have been tackled behind the line of scrimmage, and he just turned himself sideways and slashed through and got a 6-yard gain.
Second and 4. The ball is at the 53. The crowd causing problems for quarterback John Hufnagel. He drills it into James Murphy. First down at the 40. Kevin Konar from his linebacking position has dropped back to make the stop.
Good read by John Hufnagel. Send the back in the flat. He looks for him because he only needs 4 yards. He was covered, and he throws the hook right behind the Murphy.
You know, we haven't talked too much about Hufnagel, but boy, he threaded the needle on that one right in there. And Murphy, you saw when those two defensive backs closed in on him, both hands on the football. Very important, especially when you get down there near the goal line.
Winnipeg first and 10 at the BC 41. Got back to the line of scrimmage. Brought down there by Brent Reset. He actually lost a yard on the play, but could have been trapped for about 5 or 6. Ron, I would think this is an ideal situation, knowing John Hufnagel, and you've seen him perform so many times, coming on in relief. This is the way he has worked so successfully in the past.
Well, that's John Hufnagel's strength. He'll come off that bench. Because he studies so hard the week before the game, he will be ready, whether it's in starting or relief, but he has better success coming in relief.
There's a play coming in from the sideline.
Hufnagel throwing deep. Touchdown, Rick House.
Okay. House must have got a line, but I didn't see it till the last minute there. He must have got on a linebacker coverage, and he just outran the coverage down the sideline. And it was a play that was sent in from the sideline.
42-yard touchdown strike to Rick House.
You see John go back here, looks to his right. House goes down the sidelines. There he goes. He lofts it down there. And who's chasing him? No, it's
Melvin Bird.
Melvin Bird is chasing him.
Right on the money.
This has been something of a trying season for Rick House. That's the first touchdown he has scored this year. He has been plagued with a series of nagging little injuries. The point after by Trevor Kenner. And we have 9:07 remaining in the third quarter, and we'll return to the stadium at BC Place with the Winnipeg kickoff after this. Rick House, a Simon Fraser graduate, with the touchdown propelling Winnipeg into a 21-11 lead. You see Belcher fending off Brent Rossett to allow John Hufnagel time to throw that strike to Rick House. The kickoff to Crawford at the 5-yard line. Excellent return all the way to the 49.
Don, you could almost see that coming. They got those 4 big guys set up in front of Larry Crawford, and when there's that much room, a guy like Larry Crawford's going to gain yardage. Crawford told me before the game, he sees me every week before he plays and says, say hello to my folks in Miami. So after that play, we got to say hello to his folks. And as Ron said, the avenue opened up there in the middle, and he almost broke it.
A 43-yard kickoff return by Larry Crawford. He led the CFL in interceptions this season with 12. He makes a valuable contribution to the BC Lions on the special teams as well. DeWolf throwing deep for Mervyn Fernandez. He's got a touchdown.
The play is made by number 24, Fernandez. This is a great play because David Shaw's got him pretty well covered. He just took it off of him.
Yeah, he beat the best when he beat David Shaw on that. But we've seen Fernandez do that 3 times against Montreal. He caught touchdown passes similarly to the same type of play.
With the point after by Pisaglia. Again, we've got a 3-point ball game here at the stadium at BC Place. And that touchdown, one play after Winnipeg went in front, a 61-yard strike to Mervyn Fernandez. He's been a thorn in the side of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers all season.
Well, I'll tell you, this is some play by Fernandez. You know, they just lost the momentum. They silenced the crowd. The Bombers did. Then the kickoff return and this play by Fernandez, and they got the people up in arms again, and the crowd is right back in the ball game.
You see that ball almost got away from him, too. Watch it as he catches it here, and it'll slip down onto his hip. Right there. Well, I'll tell you, just like a loaf of bread, he grabbed it back and brought it in.
You know, Don, while we're talking about replays, Brent Haywood, our isolation director, that gets us all the good replays all year, today's his 18th wedding anniversary. We want to congratulate his wife because he's never home to do it.
Well, I'd like to congratulate his wife.
She's an angel. She deserves a lot of bouquets. Putting up with him for 18 years.
The lovely Lynn.
Doug McIver, the injured ball player.
Boy, the crowd is right back in this ball game.
Well, we have a moment, Don. An injury to Jack Chapdelaine of the BC Lions. In that first half, he has not returned to the Lions bench. They believe he has possibly some cracked ribs, so Chapdelaine will likely not be back in the ball game. From the Bombers side of the field, quarterback Tom Clements could well be back in this game. The injury is diagnosed as a bruised shoulder. So there's a possibility, according to trainer Pat Clayton, that he would play in the second half if needed.
Doug McIver, who is playing with casts on both hands. You talk about tough ball players, players playing hurt. He definitely is one. Herbie Wilson on the kickoff return. Out to the 30-yard line, stopped there by Mark DeBray.
Well, he had a hold of that ball that time. He wasn't going to fumble that one.
Wilson fumbled the opening kickoff, as you see Pat Clayton attending to the injured knee of nose guard Doug McIver. Cal Murphy, who brought his team to Vancouver on Thursday of this week, wanting the opportunity to practice here in the Dome. One thing they can never get used to, however, is the crowd noise. This is Tom Clements in trouble. Did I say Tom Clements? I meant John Hufnagel. And there's another injured Winnipeg player.
Boy, it's getting tough out there. There's some bodies thrown around.
It appears to be Dan Hucklack.
I know there's some people down in the States enjoying this game, too. My son Steve couldn't wait to see these games on the weekend, and he's really seeing something down there. My son Terry is also right by the television set, and even my daughter Christy. Did I say hello to anybody else?
Did you get them all, eh?
Boy, you've certainly saved the price of a few phone calls, haven't you? John Keogh has gone into the ball game as you see John Hufnagel coming over to confer with Coach Cal Murphy, and the injured Tom Clements listens in as he eavesdrops on that conversation.
Don, we talk about the Grey Cup next Sunday here at BC Place. The 1983 CFL All-Star Game is the week after, and the CFL All-Stars will begin arriving in Vancouver in preparation for the All-Star Game on December 3rd, the day after the Grey Cup. So there's lots of football ahead for football fans in Vancouver.
Don, you might cut the wire on my what do you call this thing here?
Microphone.
Microphone. But let me tell you something. I better say hello to Betty Lynn, my little girl, too.
Listen to this crowd. Rick House fumbles the ball. Jim Sykes picks it up and goes out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Winnipeg very, very fortunate there.
Well, this is really getting wild out here now, Rod.
This is a variation of that flanker hit screen, only this time they motion Rick House out and they throw it to him. You'll see the blockers try to get in front of him, but the BC defender gets there first. That ball pops up, and now it's open. That's Andre Jones that arrived, and they're very fortunate to get this back. Jim Sykes makes a good play.
That's what you call putting your helmet on the ball. Andre Jones stuck his helmet right on the football.
Bob Cameron stands at his 16-yard line. Good kick.
Oh, what a nice kick.
Crawford takes it up to 28. And he's taken out of bounds by Jerome Erdman at the 30. 7:16 is the time remaining in the third quarter, and the Lions will be scrimmaging from their own 30 when we return.
You take charge, people, taking charge.
You know exactly what you want from your next car.
Taking charge in your own way. You're taking charge with Chevrolet.
Your best buy, period.
Take charge, people.
84 Chevy Celebrity, front-wheel drive high-tech, family-size room, family-size fuel economy, gas or diesel, and a price that's down-to-earth Chevrolet. 84 Chevy Celebrity.
Price the way you want to pay. You're taking charge with Chevrolet.
Now there's a new dimension in color television, Electra Home Blue Optic. 4-lens focusing captures all the detail for a bright, clear, crisp picture at a wide range of pure lifelike color. Less affected by harsh room light because the blue optic screen absorbs light. Electra Home Blue Optic television. So real, it seems almost three-dimensional.
Tonight on CBC Television, the North American television premiere of King Lear, William Shakespeare's greatest tragedy. At the age of 75, Sir Laurence Olivier gives the performance of his career. That's tonight on CBC.
Well, for Winnipeg quarterback John Hufnagel, when he calls his signals, he might think there are twice as many in attendance here at the stadium at BC Place. 59,409, the official paid attendance for this Western final. DeWalt caught away from Aaron Brown and then runs into Tony Norman after a pickup of about 2.
I'll tell you the thing I've been impressed with Winnipeg this afternoon. On several occasions, one defender harnessed a running back in the open field, and that time they had 2 guys that closed in on him. But they're really going to the ball, both teams defensively. That's what's making it such a hard-fought football game.
Well, many people had predicted that it would be a very hard-fought, close football game, and that's what we've witnessed so far.
There have been very few Western finals that haven't been hard-hitting.
Intended for Strong, incomplete. He continues on with the ball, but it's ruled an incomplete pass.
Well, you know where that Strong got his name. People just careen off of him.
5'9", 188 pounds.
You know, with 59,000 people in attendance here this afternoon, 54,000 at CNE Stadium in Toronto, not a bad day for the Canadian Football League at the box office.
Great day. That's great to see.
I don't see how you can see 2 better football games.
Winner of this one will, of course, face the Toronto Argonauts 1 week from today in Grey Cup 83. Third down kick by Bisaglia, fielded by Bennett at the 34. Bennett is taken out of bounds at the 43 by Nelson Martin. I mentioned earlier that Coach Cal Murphy brought his troops to Vancouver on Thursday to get them acclimatized to the stadium. Paul Bennett was telling me that there are some problems with the lights overhead coming right down into your eyes at times as you field the punch.
You see Bennett raise that forearm under Martin's chin that time. You get too close to that Bennett, you're going to get hit.
Of course, in most parks, players are accustomed to having those lights shining from the side. Here, there are some lights overhead. James Sykes finds a good hole. Still on his feet, across midfield to the 54.
Boy, he's hard to describe when he runs with the football. As you said before, it looks like he's not going anyplace, but he's got such great balance. And he just breaks tackles and gets himself into the open somehow, some way.
The injured ball player is Brent Brissett. He ran into one of his own men, Rick Klassen. And now, Leo, while we have a moment, you do your thing.
Well, let me just say that this program is copyright and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited.
You think Brent Brissett cares about that?
All Brent Brissett cares about right now is getting back in that ball game.
He'll be back, but for the moment, Ron Cherkas will be taking his spot.
Must be kind of satisfying for Cal Murphy to have Clements go down and have Hufnagel go in and throw that long strike for a touchdown. That takes a lot of pressure off the coach. Unfortunately for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the Lions came right back with another one.
James Sykes with that gallop to the 54 has now carried the ball 10 times for 61 yards. Not a bad average. He'll get it again. John Hufnagel came up to try and throw a block as Sykes spun away from Mac Moore and then was dropped by Kevin Konar. It will be 2nd and 10. Actually, Sykes may have picked up about half a yard. At the Winnipeg bench, Coach Bob Spaziano explaining to Tyrone Jones some of the defensive maneuvers they want him to perform the next time that Winnipeg defensive unit is out there. Sykes to the sidelines for Rick House. He goes out of bounds. He'll be short of the first down, however. Stopped at the 49. 4:39 is the time left to play in this third quarter. 21-18, Winnipeg leads. Tom Clements started the ball game. He was injured late in the second quarter. John Hufnagel took over. He threw an early interception, but in the third quarter came back with a big touchdown strike to Rick House. Two fine punters, Bob Cameron and Lou Pasaglia, enjoying the benefits of kicking here under the dome. Crawford backs up to his goal line. And he is stopped at the 6-yard line by John Bont.
Don, we're back to that field possession game again. Field position. You start from your 6-yard line, you better move it out of there. You've got to get a couple first downs and then kick it. You don't want to give the Bombers too good a field position. It's tough to start when you're huddling in the end zone.
4 turnovers in that first half really hurt the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Of course, the Lions have the top defensive club in the CFL. They led the league in interceptions, establishing a record this year with 42, and JoJo Heath has picked off 2 in this game. DeWolf throwing deep for Mervyn Fernandez. He's got it!
That's why I say that throwing to Fernandez deep is not a bad idea in spite of deep coverage. Because he goes down and, he throws the ball right here, and they're running step for step, and that defensive back's got to turn his back. Fernandez looks back to the ball run and goes and gets it.
They had the ideal coverage. They were in a zone defense. Fernandez just out jumping for the ball. That's great individual effort.
Fernandez continuing to plague the Bombers as he did in 2 regular season games. Another mix-up. A broken play. The ball fumbled. Winnipeg got it. I believe that was John Pointer who came up with the ball. John Sturdivant was also there. Another broken play, and that's twice in this quarter.
I think it's the same
play. The
play.
Lions have been guilty of that miscue.
I think it's the same play, the draw play, and he either turned the wrong way or Strong ran the wrong way, and there was nobody to hand the ball to, and he turned around in complete confusion, got the ball knocked out of his hands, and what a break that is for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Well, John Pointer would like to appear in his 3rd straight ball game with his 3rd different team. 3rd straight breakup game it could be for John Pointer. He was with Edmonton. He was with Toronto. Sideline pattern, Hucklack out of bounds at the midfield stripe. John Pointer.
Edmonton, Toronto, and now Winnipeg. He wants to hit them all.
That would be a rather unique accomplishment, to play in 3 consecutive Grey Cup games with 3 different teams. Of course, he hasn't been on winning teams on his 2 previous Grey Cup visits.
Vanderbilt University, a very scholastically inclined school, and John Pointer apparently was a pretty good student.
On 2nd down, John Hufnagel still on his feet. He's going to try and run it. He's bounced out of bounds. Well short of a first down. He was looking downfield for James Murphy, but Murphy was well covered, and at that Winnipeg bench, Reuben Vaughn was exchanging words with several members of the Bombers. Now, watch this. As one of the players comes in and decks a member of the Winnipeg coaching staff.
That was Reuben Vaughn.
And it's rough play being charged against the BC Lions, Reuben Vaughn.
You know, Reuben should have been satisfied to go in there and just knock down 2 coaches and about 3 players on the sidelines, but he got up and wanted to fight with everybody. That's a good way to get yourself in a lot of trouble.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness, BC 79, first down.
Well, that could be a costly penalty for the Lions.
Well, we're going to get a look at it, Leo. Watch this.
Oh, boy, that's smart.
Bob Vesveziani, the assistant coach, is the man who got decked at that Winnipeg bench. You'll probably feel it's all worth it, however, as Vaughn incurred a roughing penalty, taking a swipe at a Winnipeg player on the sidelines after that collision. Handoff to James Sykes. Good hole. Sykes is having a great game. He's to the 30-yard line, and he will certainly merit some consideration for our Carling O'Keefe Offensive Game Star Award. That's a pickup of almost 11.
Just start all that motion.
Right. Go ahead. Finish what you got to say, Ron.
You start all that in motion, and those linebackers start looking around, and they can't step up in there quick enough, and the linemen are getting to them and opening those holes for Sykes.
I just said, looking at Vespiani over there on the sidelines, after he got rolled, he thought of about 4 excuses to go all the way over to the bench and start coaching those players sitting on the bench until action got away from him.
Willard Reeves was also on those sidelines, and of course he's their outstanding rookie, Shenley nominee. Sidelined for the final 3 games of the season because of a knee injury, but he is providing vocal support. 72 yards rushing for James Sykes now. Winnipeg 1st and 10 from the 31-yard line. Sykes gets it again. James Sykes with another 10-yard run.
He is a slasher.
Lyle Bauer threw a key block to open a hole for James Sykes. He had 124 yards last Sunday against the Edmonton Eskimos. He's now got 82 yards this afternoon.
If you can get a guy to come through, watch Moores come out on the outside. I know that you see his block, but he got a key block right there. But watch him turn sideways now, then go back against the grain, against the pursuit. And if you get a guy that can have that instinct to run against the pursuit, he'll make a lot of yardage. George Dixon was a great running back over in Montreal, a Shenley Award winner, and he can do that about as well as anybody.
Hofnagel again coming over to the bench to confer with Coach Cal Murphy. One of the things that Winnipeg General Manager Paul Robson has done this year is add people to the roster when the Bombers have had starters go down as the result of injury, and the addition of James Sykes may prove to be one of the most valuable he has made all season.
I think that Paul Robson has done an outstanding job in his first year as a general manager. I think that entire Winnipeg organization has a lot to be proud of. They've had a lot of adversity, and I tell you what, they've done a heck of a job.
You know what makes them so good? It's because nobody wants to run the whole show. They all want to do their own jobs, cooperate in their own areas, and they're all very good friends. They respect each other.
Isn't that called teamwork?
That sure is, right from the top. And boy, it shows with the team and the players, everybody else concerned.
Well, Sykes got a 9-yard gain on that. The measurement revealed that he was just a little short. Crawford, the injured ball player, and on 2nd and short, John Hufnagel kept it and dove to the 20-yard line. But Ron, as you have pointed out in previous telecasts, I think every time John Hufnagel carries that ball in the sneak, Cal Murphy cringes just a little.
Well, I know John's not the greatest sneaker in the world, but Cal Murphy got a lot of confidence. John will get the job done. That's all we know. He comes off that bench and plays well, and I know nobody's more happy to be in this game than he is.
He just doesn't get down low enough when he's on that quarterback sneak.
He's all legs.
He and Tommy Clements get along very well. They were sitting watching film the other day. We stopped in on him.
From the 20, 1st and 10, Winnipeg. Hofnagel having difficulty finding a receiver. Hit the kickoff. Melvin Bird intercepts at the 14-yard line. Hofnagel should never have thrown that one.
And who forced that play? Number 37. Mr. Jackson went in there and made the big play, caused the ball to be thrown poorly, and just stood there and saluted the entire audience because he's so glad to be in that football game. Watching here, number 37, been a great one.
He stopped that arm from coming forward. You see the result. That ball went end over end. He shouldn't have thrown that football, but that's Glenn Jackson getting into this game. That's what he means to the BC Lions. He's made 2 real big plays today.
That's the 5th turnover that the Lions have forced in this ball game. Winnipeg leading 21-18.
That's a big one right there because Winnipeg had a chance really to take over the game to some extent on that drive.
Aaron Brown almost picked off the pass intended for John Pankratz with just 7 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. You know, you talk about our Carling O'Keefe Game Star Awards. Aaron Brown is a candidate for that defensive honor.
Sure is.
So is JoJo Heath of the BC Lions.
Boy, look at Aaron Brown. He picks that off. He walks into the end zone. It would be no contest.
Aaron Brown earlier had an interception that set up a Winnipeg touchdown. That was in the first quarter. It's 2nd and 10. This should be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Draw play with Strong, trying to get outside, and he's to the 22.
Well, at least they made the handoff this time.
And that is the end of the 3rd quarter. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers lead 21-18, and we'll be back right after this. Grey Cup week, the Shenley Awards on Thursday, the Grey Cup parade, and our pregame show, the thrill of it all. Somewhat ironic that they've talked so much about this game being played under ideal weather conditions. It's a beautiful day outside today in Vancouver. The sun was shining brightly. It was about 10 degrees when we came into the stadium.
But it's awful, awful wet outside, I'll tell you. They've had a lot of rain.
Another good kick by Pisaglia. Bennett retreats to his own 30-yard line. Penalty flag on the play as Bennett goes down at the 42. Stopped by Gerald Roper.
I believe we're going to get Scott Flagel on an illegal block.
That is the call as illustrated by referee Bud Ulrich. A 59-yard kick by Lou Pisaglia. He and his counterpart with the Blue Bombers, Bob Cameron, are certainly putting on a display here in the Dome.
I think it'd be a fair assumption to say that anyone that wins this ball game will probably be limping off the field because it's really getting tough and nothing's going to be easy in this 4th quarter.
You can see right there, number 31, Kevin Pomar was hit in the back by Scott Flagel. That was the call.
Winnipeg 1st and 10. They're at their own 27-yard line. Neither side has been able to take control of this ball game. James Sykes, what a job he is doing running for Winnipeg.
I'll tell you one thing, he's trying to take personal control. Well, I'll tell you what, when you get into big football games, you got to have the veterans. The veterans win for you, and Sykes has been through all this before.
5'11", 185-pound James Sykes out of Rice via Washington and the Calgary Stampeders, recruited by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for their final regular season game against the Toronto Argonauts. You may recall seeing that game on CBC television. During the course of that game, Sykes was a little tentative, but he certainly has not been in the playoffs.
Well, you can't sit out. Football's a contact game. You've got to play week in, week out in order to keep your timing and being ready to be hit. And the running back's no different than anybody else. He's got to get hit to feel good. And I'll tell you one thing, he got used to it in a hurry because the last 2 weeks he's been something.
Sykes now has 91 yards, just shy of a first down on that last carry. It's 2nd and inches. Hufnagel keeps it again, and he has the first down.
He's going to like that for long. He's going to enjoy doing that.
Well, in case you joined us late, Tom Clements started the ball game for Winnipeg. He suffered a bruised shoulder late in the 2nd quarter. He has not played since then.
Now just sitting here thinking, Hufnagel's doing a good job. There's no question about that. But he doesn't have that dimension that Clements has to run with the football. And when you've got the outside receivers they have and the inside receivers and that's Sykes in the backfield, that's a pretty potent offense.
Sykes again, penalty flag on the play. But I think it will be called back.
Illegal procedure. They have no end, I don't believe, had everybody in motion and nobody ever got up on the line of scrimmage over here.
Good call, Ron. Murphy is upset.
Now, we talked about that before. All of the motion that's happening with a lot of Canadian Football League teams right now, the guy that comes up in the slot more than often is making the play illegal by not showing somebody who the outside man is on the line of scrimmage.
Procedure, Winnipeg, no end, first down repeated.
Neither one were up there.
On that situation, you're right, Ron. They didn't get up there on the outside that time.
I was watching them come over, and they were really trying to hustle to get there. But with this crowd, you don't hear the cadence real well, so you got to really hustle.
That wiped out. A 25-yard gallop by James Sykes. 13-14, the time left in the ball game. 1st and 15, Winnipeg. Sideline pattern for Hucklack. He's unable to hang on. It will be 2nd and 15 from the 33.
You know, Leo, you were talking about Huffnagel not being able to run. Huffnagel can run with the football, but he can't scramble around and buy time like Clemens does.
Huffnagel tried to take that one low, but the ball went between his legs.
Almost caught it with his heels.
Will they go after Huffnagel on 2nd and 15? Matt Moore tried to get through. Huffnagel throwing it, intended for Boyd, knocked away by JoJo Heath. Almost intercepted.
Excellent defense by JoJo Heath. He read that quarterback and he went after the ball. Watch him come, number 26. He's had an awfully good day playing football back there in that corner.
So now the Winnipeg Blue Bombers require a big one out of their kicking specialist, Bob Cameron, with 12:40 remaining in the ball game. Winnipeg clinging to a 21-18 lead. JoJo Heath is stopped at the 45. Scott Flagel was downfield to make the tackle. The Lions will be scrimmaging 1st and 10 from their 45 when we return.
And then the game itself. Be with us on CBC television.
Great run is a gaping hole. John Sturdivant made the tackle at the 45.
I saw John Henry White go in motion to that side of the field, and he got completely outside. He outflanked him. Look at the block. He's outside. He's in a position to lead him right down the field. Excellent call. Excellent execution.
Strong looks like he said, give me that ball. I don't want that Sykes to look any better than me today.
A 20-yard run for Ray Strong. 1st and 10, the Lions at the Winnipeg 45. They trail by 3. Quickly in for John Henry White. Tackled by Vernon Paul at the 26.
Don, he came in motion. The last time they ran the football, there's a big hole in there. This time, Huffnagel just raised up and dumped it to him.
18 yards the gain for John Henry White.
Watch the wall. Watch it. Look at the hole. Just raised up and dumped the ball to John Henry and let him run.
Well, that linebacker can't be right. He's up there trying to force him to run and then get back there on the pass. And that time he just stood up on the line of scrimmage. They hit him right down the seam.
1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. DeWalt for Fernandez. He'll score. So for the first time since early in the ball game, the British Columbia Lions have the lead with 10:58 remaining. We'll be back with the BC kickoff after this.
You'll see Fernandez now. It's supposed to be a little bit of a play action. He comes across the middle, catches the ball, and Paul Bennett has overcommitted to the inside, trying to make the play, and he just stepped inside of Paul, found the opening, and took it right all the way in for the score. Just a great execution, Ron.
So the Lions now lead by 4 as Bisaglia kicks off to Kirby Wilson. He's brought down at the 27-yard line. Mervyn Fernandez with 2 big touchdowns. We recall a game earlier in the year against the Montreal Concord where he scored 3 touchdowns without ever being touched. On neither of his 2 touchdowns this afternoon did the Winnipeg defenders lay a hand on him.
Well, what happens here? He runs a curl pattern. and he's smart enough to stay away from the safety, and Paul Bennett comes to make the play, and he catches it and ducks inside of him. That's a great effort by Fernandez.
He's just got that great move, and when Paul was coming across helter-skelter to try to get into the play, he just ducked right inside of him. Nobody's going to catch him when he does that.
And he's a definite candidate for our Carling O'Keefe Offensive Game Star Award. That's the injured Vernon Paul. As Crazy George has the fans at the stadium at BC Place standing up in sections, a domino effect.
This is fun, isn't it?
It is fun, and it will be fun 1 week from today as well. And if you're coming to the Grey Cup Celebration 83, you'll be treated to a tremendous week. If you can't make it, you'll see all the excitement, of course, on CBC television. James Sykes out to the 35-yard line. Glenn Jackson was in there to make the tackle. It must be very, very difficult for that Winnipeg offensive unit to try and call plays.
Yeah, there's no way when that crowd starts hollering like that, you're going to hear it. No way possible. I'll bet John Wells, how is it down there? You can't hear anything.
I could hear a few things down here, but I'll tell you, the feeling in this building is absolutely incredible. You know that upstairs, but I guess these BC Lion fans have waited such a long time. They're having a great time today.
James Sykes has a hole and a first down to the 42-yard line. Stopped there by Kevin Konar, 9:53 remaining. It's a 25-21 ball game. Don Matthews has his Chargers in front for the first time since early in the first quarter when Pasaglia kicked a 44-yard field goal.
Well, you know what he said to us before the game, ain't nothing but a party. Well, that's what it sounds like in here.
Well, 9:30 left in the game. There's a lot of the party left.
You bet there is.
Handoff again to James Sykes. McMillan made the tackle at the 45. That will be a pickup of about 3 yards. Bob Cameron with a 49-yard punting average. Lou Pasaglia
right now,
50-yard average, and James Sykes with that carry has now gone over 100 yards for the second week in a row.
And I just saw something mighty significant. Cal Murphy walked over to Tom Clemens, said something to him. Tom walked back toward the bench and put his chin guard on and starts to grab a football here, and it looks like he's about ready to get back in there.
Penalty flag in the play. Hufnagel was hit just as he threw, but I think Chris Walby might be called for holding.
Clemens is definitely throwing.
He'll be in there next series, no doubt.
Well, you know he's going to give it his best shot. We've seen him too often come back and do things against adversity. If anybody can do it with a bad shoulder, he can.
Well, the initial concern when Clemens went down was that he may have re-injured the collarbone that kept him out for 5 weeks, a broken collarbone, but we've been informed it's a bruised shoulder, but it looks as though Clemens is going to go back in the next time Winnipeg gets the ball. Right now, they need a big kick from Bob Cameron, and they get it. Jojo Heath goes back to his 15-yard line and runs it out to the 29. 25-21, the BC Lions lead. 8:25, the time left in the ball game. We'll be back right after this. Well, right now it's up to the Blue Bomber defense to get the ball back for that man, Tom Clemens, who is warming up at the Winnipeg bench. Almost certainly he will be going in to direct their offense the next time the Blue Bombers get the ball. But at the moment, the Lions have possession. They lead by 4. Play was strong, and he has a pickup of about 3, maybe 4 yards. John Sturdivant came in to hold the feet out from under him. I don't think, except on perhaps one occasion, anybody but Ray Strong has carried the ball in a running play for the BC Lions. I think John Henry White has only carried it once.
I think you're right. He's caught the passes, but he hasn't carried the football.
Well, they rule that Strong got up to the 34-yard line, so it will be 2nd and 5. The Wolf flipping it out to John Henry White. He is going to be very close to a first down. Stopped there by Kirby Wilson. 7:31, the time remaining here at the stadium at BC Place, this Western Championship game. The winner facing the Toronto Argonauts in Grey Cup 83, 1 week from today.
This is going to be very, very close.
It is a first down. 25-21, the Lions lead it. Trying to put a drive together here to add to their advantage.
And the team that's out front, Don, wants to keep the ball and keep it away from the other team. Make sure they don't make any mistakes. Retain good field position and punt well.
Well, as both of you have pointed out before, neither team has been able to take control of this ball game.
Why not?
Throwing deep for Mervyn Fernandez. He's got it. He'll score. Single-handedly destroyed the Blue Bombers in this second half.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Ron. When he goes downfield, there's not one defensive back in this league or any other league that can backpedal with him. They've got to turn and run with him. And when they turn and run with him and they get the ball up in the air, he has great instinct to come back to the football and take it away from him. Now watch him here.
There it is. He's 6'3".
See, they've got to turn their back and run, and he can look to the football, and he'll either catch it that way or he'll go back to the ball, away from the defender, and catch the ball. Great instinct.
Well, he's 6'3" with great speed. One-on-one, he's no contest. Watch this.
Bobbles it a little bit, and when he catches it, the Jets are on.
This is somewhat reminiscent of that Montreal game. 3 touchdowns without a hand being laid on him.
The easy way to play the game. Catch it and score. Don't get hit.
Look at him stride when he catches that ball.
I think he has to rate some consideration for our Carling O'Keefe Game Star Award.
I would think he might.
Kirby Wilson coming out of the end zone. Out to the 22-yard line as the Lions have done a good job of covering on those kickoffs.
Well done. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have got to get it right now. Hupnagel's gone in the ball game, but they've got to score. They're down 11 with 7 minutes left.
Roy DeWalt hitting his favorite target, Mervyn Fernandez, for the touchdown that increased the lead to 11 points.
The hardest thing for a quarterback to have a strong enough arm to throw it far enough for him.
Well, we thought that Tom Clements would come in. He warmed up, but John Hufnagel is still directing the attack. And listen to this crowd. To James Sykes coming out of the backfield. He's across the 30 to the 31. Fernandez on the receiving end of 7 throws this afternoon. 260 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Ooh. Hope they got that lad signed to a long-term contract.
Well, I was talking to Merv before the ball game today, and he said that he plans on remaining in Vancouver during the winter months. Plans on taking up permanent residence here, so I think he's going to be around for a while. James Sykes trying to get the first down on 2nd and 2. It will be close. The record for most yards in a playoff game, 270, by Roland Fraser in the uniform of the Edmonton Eskimos against Calgary in 1952.
Boy, this is going to be another real close.
They're short.
Could be a couple inches short.
Don't think there's much doubt, though, that they will go for this one.
You've got to go get it now, man. It's the whole season right.
5:58 is the time remaining. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I'm sure, have already started thinking about those squandered scoring opportunities. 4 times they were in position to put points on the board and came away with nothing as the result of turnovers.
They'll come back to haunt you.
Hufnagel keeps for the first down to the 35. 5:45 is the time remaining.
You know, Don, we've said all year the BC Lions have a big play offense, and that's what they've done today again.
Well, their big play offense primarily has revolved around one man.
Well, they wouldn't have won that Montreal game half as easily if they hadn't done the same thing. 3 touchdown passes on long strikes.
In that Montreal game, it looked as though he was playing touch football. Doesn't look much different this afternoon. Hufnagel to James Sykes. He's tracked down by Kevin Kuna. Andre Jones also came over to help. The BC Lions are doing a good job of mixing up their defenses. They've had 6 and sometimes 7 defensive backs in there.
Boy, there's nothing can ignite a football team like a long strike for a touchdown. They've had 3 of them.
Well, they gain absolutely nothing here, Leo. Watch this.
Look at them flying their bodies around there, boy. They're just... They've got the edge right now, and it's going to be tough to take it away from them.
Second and 10, Winnipeg at the 35. 4:30 the time left in the game. 32-21, the Lions lead. Hufnagel trying to run for a first down. He'll be about 1.5 yards short. He was brought down by Andre Jones. And Jones is injured. He had help from Jackson in that tackle, and Jones is favoring that left knee.
Well, Hufnagel went after that first down. He came back up through that middle and escaped, and he knew where that 1st and 10 marker was, and he went for it.
Yeah, he showed some courage on that because he dove right into a bunch of orange shirts.
Well, on 3rd and 1.5 yards. The Blue Bombers are going after it. Hufnagel comes to the bench to confer with Cal Murphy during this injury timeout. This place will be jammed to capacity a week from today as well for Grey Cup 83, and the fans who are watching the action this afternoon are hoping that they'll be cheering for a home team.
You watch Hufnagel go down. Watch his helmet. He hits Andre Jones on the leg, and that's what the holdup is. Andre Jones is down. Ex-teammates.
Yes, Hufnagel and Andre Jones were both with Saskatchewan earlier. Andre Jones was signed by the Lions as a free agent back in August.
I can't help but believe when Tom Clements went over there and warmed up, and Coach Murphy went over to him and said, "What do you think, Tom?" And Tom had to say, "I don't think I can help you, Coach."
Absolutely, Leo. When Clements was down on the sidelines warming up, you could see the pain in his face. He simply couldn't go in.
Nobody feels worse than he does, I'm sure of that, but there's no use going in there when you know you can't help.
While Clements took those warm-up throws, you could see pain etched on his face every time he released that football. And he obviously told Coach Cal Murphy that he didn't think he was ready to go in. A 3rd down play here, and this could be it.
You know Sykes is going to get it.
He didn't make it. McNeil, the middle linebacker, comes up with the football. They're ruling that the play had been whistled dead, but James Sykes did not make it anyway.
Football.
squad in place of the injured Tyrone Cruz. So it's 1st and 10 for the Lions now as they take over at the 44. Strong getting outside. And the Lions have definitely taken control.
Well, he knows what to do when he gets that football.
What's really giving him control outside of the big plays to Fernandez, naturally. But earlier in the quarter, they ran Henry White in motion, and Strong went out that side. The next play, they dumped the ball to John Henry on the same motion, and now they're finding a hole on this side of the defense with the same kind of action. Boy, the BC Lions are rolling now.
A gain of 12 for Ray Strong. He now has 79 yards as we move down to 3 minutes remaining. The Lions that far away from facing the Toronto Argonauts next Sunday in the Grey Cup game. Inside handoff to Strong, a gain of about 9.
Well, they're using your offense now, Ron, like you say. They're pulling out all the stops.
2:48 is the time remaining. The British Columbia Lions on the verge of becoming Western champions for the first time since '64. Brings his team up over the ball, 2nd and 1. 32-21, the Lions in front of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Ray Strong has the first down and more. He gets to the 17-yard line. Well, this crowd early in the ball game was certainly quiet after the Winnipeg Blue Bombers scored 2 quick touchdowns to take the lead 14-3. But they have been noisy, raucous here in the second half.
Well, I think we can see now why they were putting the Vaseline on the goalpost before the game, to try to discourage people from going out there and hanging on the goalposts and pulling the goalposts down there, putting Vaseline on it. And watch these people come out of the stands when they win this football game.
First down from the 17-yard line. John Henry White, a big burst up the middle, another first down.
Boy, they're savoring it right now.
2:09, the time remaining. You saw Coach Don Matthews on the sidelines. He has had the ability to merge ability and emotion with this British Columbia football team in this 1983 season. He has reason to smile as a dejected Tom Clements and the rest of that Winnipeg Blue Bomber organization look on. 2nd and less than a yard. John Henry White will score. Said before the game it would be a party. Well, the party is over. And now the BC Lions can begin celebrating as they are Grey Cup bound 1 week from today. The point after by Lou Pasaglia. And it's now 39-21 as John Henry White, who has seen only limited work as a pass receiver, primarily as a pass receiver, limited work as a runner, puts it in the end zone.
I'll tell you one thing, that Strong knows what to do as a blocker too, Don. He went through there in a personal interferer up in front, made a key block, and White then took it right in the end zone. And when he went in the end zone, Bobo Vilovich turned to his staff and said, "Get out the BC film."
I'll tell you what, I said all along that home field advantage in the finals is a must. Too many times over the years, the team that has that home field wins it. And boy, I'll tell you, it's been this crowd today has been super for the BC Lions.
Well, I think before we give the BC Lions their just dues, and we certainly will, we've got to give Cal Murphy and those Winnipeg Blue Bombers a lot of credit for the wonderful season they've had under the most adverse conditions.
kickoff is taken by Sean Kehoe. Still on his feet. And Kehoe gets all the way to the 50-yard line before he's thrown out of bounds by Mel Bird. As I said earlier, and I'm sure this Winnipeg team will reflect back on the squandered scoring opportunities in the first half.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. When you get into big games, you've got to put the ball in the end zone when you have the opportunity. You don't get that many chances, and when you're on the road especially, you got to get them down at home. They just didn't have it today. The BC Lions have come back strong.
Well, in spite of the deepness of the Winnipeg secondary on defense, you got to throw that ball deep on the side that Fernandez is going. That's been proven.
John Hufnagel completes the pass, then he has it picked off by Mel Bird. In and out of the arms of Dan Hucklag. And that's turnover number 6. Well, you know, I'm sure there'll be conjecture all winter long on the part of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, particularly that man, Cal Murphy, as to what might have been had Tom Clements not been injured. That's not to take anything away from John Hufnagel, but for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers during the course of this season, it was the quarterback du jour. Who would it be from day to day? Well, when they finally got Tom Clements, they thought they had their man. Then the collarbone injury that sidelined him for 5 weeks, and the injury today that kept him out of the second half. Don Taylor in there at a running back position. He is out to the line of scrimmage and no further. Stopped there by Donovan Rose with 1 minute and 30 remaining.
Well, Don, as is the case in all football or any kind of sporting event, 2 equal teams, and I really believe they're both equal. But in a big game and equal teams, the team that makes the fewest mistakes will win. 6 turnovers, not going to get it done.
And one more thing that you mentioned before, Ron, this hometown crowd has meant at least 7 points.
Just super. It's a great place to play football.
Well, there are many people responsible for bringing you coverage of CFL football on CBC television, and some of the same people who worked with us this afternoon and on CBC telecasts throughout the entire season will be busy all next week installing equipment and looking after the technical facilities as CBC television produces and brings you Grey Cup 83.
Boy, I hope everybody in Toronto is looking at this stands and looking at this reaction here. And I hope this will give them the boost to go out after that dome stadium that everybody's been talking about back in Toronto.
That political message from Leo Cahill.
Boy, it is a party right here now.
It is a party.
Great.
Aaron Brown is the injured Winnipeg player. It's been a rough year for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but they can head home with their heads held high because under tremendous adversity, they came so very close to perhaps going all the way.
You know, the funny thing is, Tom Clements is not the kind of a guy that gets hurt real easily, but he's taken a couple unorthodox hits on 2 different occasions that's just rendered him useless as far as playing. And it's just unfortunate for this Winnipeg team.
That man right there has had an outstanding day today, Aaron Brown. I've been on both sides of the field in these things. It's more fun on the other side.
Yes, it's tough with 59 seconds remaining in the ball game and the outcome all over to take those blows out there. You just want to get into the dressing room and head for home.
I've been on both sides too, Ron, but I was on one side yelling at referees.
Paul Bennett takes it out of bounds at the 8-yard line with 43 seconds left in the game. There's our Carling O'Keefe offensive game star. 3 touchdowns, 7 receptions, 260 yards. Mervyn Fernandez, JoJo Heath, 2 interceptions. Our Carling O'Keefe defensive game star. His thefts, a first to Tom Clements' pass, and then one by John Hufnagel in that first half. Perhaps turn things around for the BC Lions.
Well, there were a lot of guys that could have won that star today, but I'm always a believer you got to make the plays when they count. And JoJo Heath made them early in a football game.
So it will be Toronto and British Columbia in Grey Cup 83 1 week from today. The first time those 2 teams have ever met in a Grey Cup Classic.
And boy, you really got to be happy for the coaching staff, the players, especially the fans, and for a little guy that's been with this football team 31 years, Bobby Ackles.
Bobby Ackles, who skipped school to be a ball boy with the BC Lions 31 years ago. And his career has progressed through the ranks to the position of general manager. And today, he is witnessing his British Columbia Lions in this magnificent facility win the Western title and go on to the Grey Cup game.
Look at Crazy George.
How about Al Wilson there?
Right at the moment, I don't think he's any more excited than Crazy George.
That's a dream come true for Al, boy, at the twilight of his career, getting that Grey Cup. This guy never quit all afternoon.
James Sykes gave it his best shot all afternoon. He has a Winnipeg first down just across the 30-yard line with 19 seconds remaining. Yes, next week, there'll be all sorts of activity taking place here in Vancouver, and you'll see the Shenley Awards. You'll see the Grey Cup parade, our pregame show, the thrill of it all, and the game itself on CBC television. 12 seconds the time remaining as Reuben Vaughn drops quarterback John Hufnagel for a loss. Well, everything happening now is strictly academic. The issue has not been in doubt for about the past 4 minutes, and this should be the final play of the ball game. And you'll see fans coming onto the field. You'll hear a tremendous roar when this one ends. Hufnagel trying to get that pass away. The ball is fumbled. It's picked up by Glenn Jackson. That's the ball game. The BC Lions are the 1983 Western Conference champions as they defeat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 39-21. And it's a mob scene here on the artificial turf stadium at BC Place. The fans are pouring out onto the field. The Lions are the Western champions. Don Matthews, the rookie head coach of the British Columbia Lions. He has 5 consecutive Grey Cup wins as an assistant coach with the Edmonton Eskimos, and he now has the opportunity to make it 6 in a row as the head man of the British Columbia Lions. Fitting, I suppose, gentlemen, in that the top 2 teams, East and West, are playing for the Grey Cup.
It sure is. And early in the ball game when Winnipeg was ahead, we said that the BC Lions had been too good all year to be out of it, and they certainly displayed that they're a football team. They came back and won it big.
There's one more left, and it's a big one, Don.
Well, the party may be over here at the stadium at BC Place. Many of the fans don't want to leave. Many of them will be back 1 week from today for Grey Cup 83. We hope you will be too. Right now, let's go down to John Wells.
Don, we remind everyone of our CBC television coverage of Grey Cup 83. We begin with the Shenley Awards on Thursday, the Grey Cup parade on Sports Weekend Saturday. The thrill of it all kicks it off Sunday afternoon, Grey Cup 83 from BC Place. Once again, the final score, the BC Lions over the Blue Bombers, 39-21. So it will be the Lions and the Argos in the Grey Cup next Sunday.
CFL 83 has been brought to you by Carling O'Keefe, Brewers of OB, the Carlsberg Beers, and Miller High Life. And we thank you for watching. CFL 83 has been a CBC Sports presentation.
This is CBC.